again, as he's what you're looking for at this point. Okay, I asked you guys about the first 12 outfielders. How about these second 12 outfielders? How many of them do you think had 20 stolen bases? It's important to take note because the last thing you want to do, and the reason why I'm kind of stolen base centric here is you're taking a big donut hole with a lot of these guys and not just one or two categories. In a lot of places, 3 or 4 categories when you take a stolen base specialist. That's the last thing you want to do. You want to build these guys with guys that are contributed in your other categories. So it's important to take note and to place extra emphasis on guys. Again, I didn't point on this earlier. The top 2 in that first 12 just happened to be number 1 and number 2 on the pecking order, and Yelich and Acuna. So if you don't have a top 2 pick, you're shit out of luck with those top guys. How about now, Taco? Does Marte sound more appealing now? When you can't get stolen bases in that top category, in that first 12, outside of the top 2? It's important to think about that, though, right? There are 2 guys in the second 12, so that's 5 total in the first 24 that had 20 plus stolen bases last year. Stolen bases is a really repeatable statistic. Eloy Jimenez is not going to develop speed in the offseason. Starling Marte isn't going to lose speed in the offseason. So, the fact that Whit Merrifield had 20 stolen bases, he had an excellent average, and he had excellent runs, and they're sustainable. He's been pretty consistent over the last 3 or 4 years. Makes him pretty damn valuable in this second tier. I don't want to talk about Stanton. Bryant, I'm kind of bullish on. Blackmon, I don't like. But I want to talk about Victor Robles. I have him as the 19th overall outfielder, but it's important to take note here. It's important to take note here. 28 stolen bases as a 22-year-old. He had 31 last year, Andy. Unless I got my stats mixed up. It does happen. But I copy and paste, so I don't think so. He had 31. Check me. Eloy. That's who they're asking about. Guys, by the way, I haven't said this. If you're just listening to me, go to LennyMilnickFantasySports.com. Go to the chat room. This is meant to be interactive. It's meant to be fun. It is fun. I'm going to give you guys my guaranteed game strategy to win this year in about 5 minutes. So stay tuned. Okay? I love it. I'm going to share with you my team. It's great. Hang tight. I want to talk about Robles. 28 stolen bases. He had 86 runs last year. 17 homers and 65 RBIs. He's 22. He's 22. I mean, if you think about it, all signs are pointing up with this kid. And when you put into perspective, 5 guys in the top 24 outfielders had 20 plus stolen bases, and he had 28 as a 22-year-old. Doesn't that give him a little extra value? The fact that he could grow into much more. He's shown a pretty safe floor. I really like Robles. At 81.2, I'd be willing to go up in the 7th or 6th round to get this kid. Especially in a redraft or in a dynasty type league, keeper type league. He could be a first. He's just like Eloy. He could be a first round pick next year. 255 seems low to me for Robles. No way, King Hap says. Let's put it this way. It's more likely for Victor Robles to go up than it is for him to go down from a 7th, 8th round pick. Can we all buy in on that? Let's talk about Joey Gallo. He's also ADP 81. I love Gallo this year. He is in a great situation. He was having a really stellar year until he got hurt last year. I think that this is the year Gallo breaks 40 homers, 45 maybe even. He has 50 homer potential. You're never going to get a great average out of Gallo, but if he hits 250 and he hits 40 homers, that's a real value in the 7th, 8th round. And he's versatile. He plays. He's not eligible in the infield anymore. But he plays in the outfield. He plays left and center field. So if you're in that type of league, yeah, absolutely, George. He has to stay on the field because the talent around him, boy, they've really done a nice job in Texas with building a nice young core. Good to hear some positive news on Willie Calhoun. I really look for big things out of him this year. It'll be interesting to see how that works out. But I really like what Gallo has in that lineup. At 81, I think that's a good value. How about Jorge Soler? 85 ADP. He had 48 homers last year, guys. I love Soler. It's another, there's a lot of ex-Cubs on this list. Too many, in my opinion. This is a guy that they basically gave away a couple years back. But Soler really has light tower power, 117 RBIs, both career highs last year, 265 average. 95 runs was a little bit surprising. Here's the thing, though. He's borderline DH only. And he's not really repeated it. He's been injured most of his career. I think I need to see Soler repeat it before I put my stamp of approval on it. I love the talent. I feel like he's comfortable now in KC. I feel like he's mature enough that he can possibly do it. Boy, that 48 homers is salivating though, right? 48 could be 50 pretty easy. Last three guys in this category, I think are interesting. Nick Castellanos, 97 ADP. This breaks my heart. I love this guy. Trey Mancini, 106. And Ramon Laureano, 98. I don't know what to say about Mancini. Again, I told you I'm not going to be a buzzkill on this show, so I won't talk a whole lot about him. I was really high on him. 35 homers, 106 runs last year. A little concerned, but we'll move from that. We'll pivot. Let's go to Castellanos. I love Castellanos' new digs. I know, George. That's why I said I'm pivoting. Castellanos, 27 homers last year, 100 runs, 289. Here's the thing. When he came to Chicago, he was just totally rejuvenated. I look for that to continue in Cincinnati. I look for him to hit more. He's a yellow with 27 homers. I look for him to be green there. I think 100 runs stays about right. George made me lose my track of thought. I think Castellanos. Homers, runs, average, I think he's pretty solidly green. 97 is About right, I think, for Castellanos. But if you really want him, which I do, you might have to go up to an 8th rounder to get him. There's been some talk of him playing a touch of infield this year, so we'll see how that goes. First or third, depending on, Suarez has some new injury concerns. Votto is always, recently anyway, had some back problems. So he could gain some eligibility is what I'm saying. I really like Castellanos. The last guy, and now we're going to talk strategy after him. I love Ramon Laureano. I think that as my last outfielder too, he provides me a lot of the things I'm looking for. Maybe he doesn't have a whole lot of greens per se, but he has potential to grow into them. He hit 280. He missed time last year, so his counting stats are affected by that. So keep that in mind. But he hit 24 homers. He stole 13 bases. I love the Oakland Athletics this year. I really think that he's a big part of that. He played last year. He played 123 games, George. So he missed effectively a month and a half of the season. So those homer and stolen bases numbers take a big bump up. I think that's kind of unfair to label him as that. I mean, it's not like he has this long track record. He's but 25 years old. This is his 3rd major league season. Totally, Taco. He says Oakland overwins. Absolutely. I don't even know what it is, but absolutely. Laureano, to me, is the catalyst of that offense. I think 100 runs is pretty much a given for him this year. I think 20 stolen bases is not out of the realm of possibility. The only glitch of concern that I have is the pure power behind him if they don't maybe play that conservatively. But regardless, 15 stolen bases is definitely a floor for Laureano, which, if you think about it in the grand scheme of things, ain't too shabby. So let's talk about it. First off, tonight's hour is brought to you by Buffalo Trace. Buffalo Trace is hard to find. It is quite tasty and cheap, but a lot. I believe it's George Dickel. But it's a lot of the stores have quit carrying it. So I found it on the shelf the other night. I wasn't even looking for whiskey, but sometimes whiskey finds me. So cheers. Cheers to Buffalo Trace. Thanks, guys. Let's talk. Let's talk draft strategy. I've led you guys on long enough. So I did this draft. It's a slow draft. My buddy Dave, Dave, who you're trying to help out, did a great job with this, right? He set up this slow draft, and basically everybody has 4 hours to put it in, but it's really been interesting because it gives you time to think about what you want to do. So I put this draft process into place, and I think it's working out pretty well. What the gist of this is, we talked last week about the elite nature of the top 12 corner infielders. So the thought process behind this is basically punt middle infield. Punt it. Don't touch it. And if you do touch it, make it versatile. Make it someone who can play short and third. Make it someone that can play the outfield. Something like that, right? You do that, and you concentrate on these first 12 corners. These first 12 third and first basemen. So who am I talking about? Bellinger, Arenado, Freeman, Bregman, Devers, Rendon, Suarez, Alonso, Olsen, Machado, Chapman, and Bryant. I'll tell you,